Jai, Hari Bol.
Bhagavad Puran Prabhu is there. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Is that Shastra Prabhu? Hare Krishna. We have Baladev from Trinidad as well. I think he's also connected.
Oh, great.
So we have an international all-star cast over here.
First class.
Janmashmi Prabhu, Purushartha Prabhu. Jai. So we will get started now with some kirtan in just about a minute while we wait for Maharaj. And we wait for the devotees to...
Jai.
Yeah.
I get my cartels.
So how we're going to do it is we'll lead the kirtan, but I'll mute everybody else because there's so much of a lag in between.
Right.
So the things don't always line up. But you should still play a kartal and sing along regardless, so you can enjoy it.
Okay. So the end of the road for Kenya. Are you finished now with Africa?
I was planning to go back this year just to see how things are going. I'm still there. They're doing pretty well there, you know, with the Hare Krishna Training Center, and they're preaching to the Africans really nicely. The college preaching is doing pretty well. You know, my friend Govinda Prem is running that.
It's looking wonderful. Really, really good. Yeah. This devotee, I haven't met him, Prema, is that his name?
Govinda Prema, he runs it. He's really good. And of course, he's doing it under the tutelage of our Mansi Ganga Mataji, the senior.
Yes, I was in touch with her in the last few days. She's an elderette.
Yes, she's an elder right now. So
yeah.
This is my son Madhava. This is
Madhava. Jai. Hare Krishna.
Madhava's going to college this year. Yeah, he's
wow.
So, all right, but before that, he's going to start some kirtan. So let's get started. Hari Bol.
Madam, you're controlling the mute and everything like that.
Yeah. Madam Prabhu.
Yes, Gurudas.
I just sent you email with links to Free Write Journal. He's going to talk about that. So I sent you email.
Okay, you know, you could put the link on the chat of the Zoom as well.
Yeah, I can do that.
Other devotees can jump on as well. It'll be nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get started.
Howdy.
Hey, Shastra Prabhu.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Acharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gopranande, Hari Hari Bo, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Guru Maharaj ki jai, Hare Krishna. So Hare Krishna, thank you all very much for joining this morning. And we are broadcasting live from ISKCON of New Jersey. And it is our distinct pleasure, privilege, and honor to have His Holiness Satsvarupa Goswami Maharaj address us this morning. It's a real rare treat. It's the first time he is addressing us on the Zoom platform. So those of you who may not know, His Holiness Satsvarupa Goswami Maharaj is one of the earliest disciples of Srila Prabhupada, and he's one of the most prolific authors in ISKCON, having written more than 150 books on science of Krishna consciousness, including the official biography of Srila Prabhupada, the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit, and many, many other books on developing and cultivating your Krishna consciousness, appreciation of Srila Prabhupada, books on poetry, books on stories, different fictional Krishna conscious books, and many other things. In addition to that, of course, he's a poet, and he's also an artist. He's a spiritual master and mentor, and continues his service to Srila Prabhupada of regularly publishing his writings on his popular Facebook page. I will share the Facebook page on the chat link and a number of other important links. So all of Srila Prabhupada's books, all of Satsvarupa Maharaj's books are available on this link that I've shared on the chat. This is sdglegacy.com. They're available for free. You can read them, download them. His official website, satsvarupagoswami.com, is also accessible, and his Facebook page, which I've shared on the link here. So kindly mark and save these links. I think you'll really appreciate them. And please feel free to provide your feedback on the Facebook page and any words of appreciation that you might have. And thank you all once again for joining this very exciting morning to hear His Holiness Satsvarupa Goswami Maharaj. We have some very distinguished guests here. I don't recognize everyone who is here, but I do have His Grace Devki Nandan Prabhu, who's joined from Juhu.
And Mataji.
And Surangi Mataji also, they're joining from Juhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And we have many other senior devotees, disciples of Srila Prabhupada who have also joined us this morning. But without much ado, we also have His Grace Shami Krishi Prabhu joining. So thank you very much. And now I'll pass the microphone to Baladev Prabhu. So Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Satsvarupa Maharaj can address us. Thank you very much.
That's the Guru Maharaj. Okay. Your own Guru Maharaj.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschita Deshatarane. Madan Gopal from New Jersey has asked me to give a Zoom lecture. He wants me to join with the devotees who are giving Zoom lectures during the COVID-19 pandemic, when devotees can't gather in the temples.
Are we on mute?
I don't give many lectures anymore. My main means of communication is writing. I write many books and I post a weekly journal on internet, which has a wide readership. I would like to talk about my free write journal today. The journal contains news from our ashram at Stuyvesant Falls, New York. I also report what's happening at the Govardhan retreats in Vrindavan, which I watch, rather which I hear every day. I very much like listening to Purijan Prabhu, Sachinandan Maharaj, Jagatarini Mataji, and the others. I also post books that I have written over the years. One thing I did in my free write journal was listen to Prabhupada's audio recordings, especially this category called Prabhupada Tells a Story. I would tell those stories in my own words and post them on the free write journal. Prabhupada introduced his disciples to the stories of the jester Gopal Ban, who was famous in Bengal for his intelligence, wit, and quick thinking. I hesitated to tell Gopal Ban stories because of the world crisis with so much suffering and economic collapse. But I thought Prabhupada saw the world, material world, as full of suffering, dukhalayam ashashvatam. But he introduced the stories of Gopal Ban to us. I think a little comic relief in times of duress is not unwelcome. Prabhupada said that no one, not even the emperor, can remain serious without relief. But everyone had to be very respectful to him. So one person, his jester, was allowed to josh with him. And the king was allowed to joke back at Gopal Ban's expense. So King Krishna Chandra was always engaged in a battle of wits with Gopal Ban. One time Gopal Ban came into the court and the king said to him, "Gopal, you are an ass." Gopal said, "Oh, my lord, I am not an ass. There's a difference between me and an ass." Then Gopal measured off the distance between himself and the king and said, 6 feet. Prabhupada laughed when he told the story, and we were also amused, but we were also amazed that Prabhupada invited us to share the wit of Gopal Ban. Srila Prabhupada told another story. Gopal was building a house, and according to Vedic custom, before you open a house, you have to have a sacrifice called Griha Praveshana. No one is allowed to use anything in the house until the sacrifice is performed, until the brahmanas enter with Sankirtan Yagya, chanting mantras and sprinkling Ganges water. Otherwise, the house is considered contaminated. Thus, in the Vedic culture, everything is connected. Religion, arts, humor, music, all so that it's focused on Krishna. But Prabhupada explained the king wanted to defeat Gopal. So he offered a large reward of gold coins to anyone who could outsmart Gopal and pass stool in his toilet before the sacrifice. One day Gopal was inspecting his house and a man came sent by the king. He pretended that he had an urgent call of nature. And he said, "Gopal, I immediately have to pass stool. Please show me your bathroom." All right, said Gopal, come on. And he took the man to his bathroom. He allowed him to squat down inside, but he kept the door open. The man said, "Why are you keeping the door open? I don't have any privacy. And why are you holding a big stick in your hand?" Gopal said, "No, you can pass stool in my bathroom, but if you pass one drop of urine, I'm going to smash your head." The man laughed and confessed, "You are very clever." And he ran away defeated. Prabhupada laughed after this story also. But the devotees were a little confused. Prabhupada admitted that the Vedic humor was somewhat subtle. He said that the humor was connected inseparably with the culture, and that if you didn't understand the culture, you wouldn't be able to understand the humor. But in Vedic culture, religion, humor, art, music, everything was connected. Another point, some of the Gopal Band stories are a little raunchy. So that's another barrier in telling them to polite audiences. One day, the king's young wife gave birth to a male child, and the king was rejoicing. Just then, Gopal Band came by, and the king said, "Gopal, on this very, very happy occasion, please tell me, what do you have to say? What are you thinking?" Gopal Band said, "I am feeling very happy after just passing stool." "Gopal," the king was mortified. "Is that all you have to say on an occasion like this?" "I am disgusted. I don't appreciate your humor at all." "It's not funny." After this, relationships between the king and Gopal were strained. But later, Gopal was rowing the king in a boat down the river. The king told Gopal he had an urgent call of nature. Gopal said, "I can't stop right now. There's a dense jungle area on the shore. Let us go down a little further. It'll be better." The king said, "Gopal, go over immediately." Gopal said, "Not yet. There's danger here. Thieves and dacoits. Your life may be endangered. Let us go further." The king said, "Gopal, go over immediately." So Gopal had to take the boat to the shore, and the king jumped out. He could hardly contain himself. When he came back, Gopal asked him, "How are you feeling?" The king said, "Oh, I am feeling very happy after passing stool." Then Gopal said, "Don't you remember? This is exactly the situation I was in. when you told me after your child was born. You asked me at that moment what exactly I was feeling. And I told you, but you didn't appreciate it. You thought I was insulting your son. I told you what I was feeling. But now do you understand? That's 3 Gopal Band stories. There are many of them. Jayapataka Maharaj knows them all. I remember years ago, he had a group of sannyasis gathered, and we were rolling on the floor in laughter. He was such a great storyteller. And he told the stories in both Bengali and English. Every day in my lockdown quarantine, I listened for hours to the Govardhan retreat talks. Jagatarini Mataji and Sachinandan Maharaj are among my favorite speakers. Jagatarini speaks about the parrots of Goloka Vrindavan. Krishna has his group of parrots, and Radharani has her group. Krishna's parrots glorify him and say he is the proprietor of Vrindavan. And this is stated in the Smriti Shastras. Radharani's parrots saying that the Shruti Shastras declare that Radharani is the queen of Vrindavan, and this in the Smriti Shastras. Also, Brinda Devi holds a Maha Abhishek as a coronation for Radharani, proclaiming her as the queen of Vrindavan. Krishna is in the audience, and he becomes ecstatic, seeing the beauty of Radharani as the many colored liquids pour over her. He declares that he wants to be the constable in her kingdom. Radharani says to him, "Please come up on my throne and sit on an equal level with me." Krishna does so, and eventually Radharani sits in his lap. This is told in a book by one of the 6 Goswamis called Madhava Mahotsava. Jagatarini also tells about the trees in Vrindavan. Many of them had parts in the pastimes of Krishna, but they are not existing in Boma, Vrindavan, such as the tree that Krishna dove off when he went into the poisonous lake of Kaliya serpent. Jagatarini used to be an actress, and she uses her talents to express the lamentation of the residents of Vrindavan on seeing Krishna enwrapped in the coils of Kali, a serpent. Sachinandan Maharaj speaks on the Brahma Vimohana Leela, chapter 13th of the 10th canto. This was the last chapter that Prabhupada dictated before he passed away. Sachinandan Maharaj quotes significant passages such as, once there was a place in Vrindavan where there was no temple, but a devotee desired, let there be a temple and seva, devotional service. Therefore, what was once an empty corner has become a place of pilgrimage. Such are the desires of the devotee. That's a very poignant and personal commentary by Prabhupada, written while Jayadvaita Maharaj held the microphone to his mouth and Prabhupada lay in bed a few days before his disappearance. And it was 2 years after he opened the Krishna Balaram Mandir. He also read the members of the Krishna conscious movement being engaged in Vasudeva Bhakti become nice Vaishnavas, so much that people are surprised that Mlechas and Yavanas are able to come to this stage. This is possible by Vasudeva Bhakti. Sachinandan Maharaj goes on to tell the whole Brahma Vimohan Leela. In my journal, I also read from my book, Remembering Srila Prabhupada, which is a collection of poems about Prabhupada. I'm going to read some of them. I ask you to excuse me because I'm reading. But if you ask Satsvarupa to give a lecture, what you see is what you get. He reads from his book. The first poem is called ISKCON Press, Boston, December 1969. This describes a visit by Prabhupada to Boston. At that time, at that moment in history, Boston was the most populated temple in America for a while. I was the temple president. It was the most populated because ISKCON Press moved there with all its press workers. There were 60 devotees living in the temple. ISKCON Press. The press was in Boston, and Prabhupada agreed to visit The devotees there were worshipping very small Radha Krishna deities in an old mansion in the suburb of Alston. 150 devotees were on hand from various East Coast temples. At Logan Airport, people could hardly believe the intensity of the reception for the Swami. It was as if the Beatles had arrived. The devotees were also amazed. Prabhupada was so great. Coming from London, wearing a white wool sweater and carrying a white plastic attaché case, smiling to see his disciples, his right arm upraised, his bead bag wrapped around his hand. He was pleased with both the temple and the press. But in the press room, he embraced his devotee printer. This is the heart of ISKCON, Prabhupada said. You are the heart of ISKCON, a devotee cried. And this is my heart, Prabhupada said. The basement was like a chilly cave, but filled with precious goods. Printed pages of his books in dozens of stacks, ready to be folded, cut, collated, and bound. He loved the press that printed Krishna's books, and he appealed to those who were helping him to work hard at printing those books, type them, edit them, paint pictures for them, compose them, lay out the pages, or be the wife of a press worker and peacefully raise children, or be the printer, the collator, the hand binder, or for extra mercy, go out to the front lines and distribute the books, but somehow or other work with the books and know the greatest nectar. That was the open secret he conveyed that night. As the ISKCON press workers already knew, quote, this is the major Sankirtan party, as the street chanting is heard a block away by the sound of the thumping madrunga. So the press is the big madrunga, to be heard all over the world. As he stood in the cellar, he made a pact. Print my books, at least one every 2 months, and you will go back to Godhead. We have unlimited stock. I can translate more if I can get time and if you can produce them. This is the field work of our movement. Temple worship is secondary. This was the thing most dear to him. That was 1969. Then in 1970, Prabhupada went to India. Here's a poem called To India. We thought that Prabhupada would spend the rest of his life in America, and that was his mood. But in the summer of 1970, when the LA Center was burgeoning, but unfortunate signs appeared of a too familiar attitude toward him, he left with a few sannyasi disciples and informed us that India was his next important field. When Prabhupada went to India, I was in Boston. We didn't know if we would ever go, but like his other followers, we were swept up to hear it. First letters came from his servant, with some photos. We heard from the devotees how India was harsh and very exotic. One devotee wrote that the other Indians looked and even gestured somewhat like Prabhupada, but no one was genuinely like him. Probably in all of India, there was no pure devotee like him. And then letters came from Calcutta and Bombay, exclamations of how even the devotees were being honored and were staying at rich men's homes, and some of them were getting sick. Prabhupada, they said, was preaching like a lion. He was different in India, he said, and he lived more simply. In LA, he accepted a suite of rooms and rode in a luxury car. But in India, where such things weren't available, he lived like a simple sadhu. Mosquitoes didn't seem to affect him, nor did the heat, power failures, or delays. He was relaxed and more at home. He even dressed differently. He still wore the dhoti, but now he had no need for sweaters or socks or hats or coats. Usually he wore no shirt, but just a top cloth, and sometimes sat bare-chested, drinking water from a lota. When he arrived in Calcutta, reporters and elderly friends, afraid of the Naxalite terrorists, asked for political solutions. But he said, just chant Hare Krishna, the actual panacea, if people will take to it. He sent his few men out to chant in the heat of Dalhousie Square. Their kirtan was a sensation. But Prabhupada, thinking it might be misunderstood, introduced life membership, a form of preaching where a gentleman will pay for Krishna conscious books and privileges for guests at ISKCON temples around the world. He asked that we also try it in America, but it didn't work as well. The Indians were pious, and Prabhupada was personally conducting that campaign. Devotees in India also told us the most wonderful thing of all, which made India worth the trouble. Prabhupada was much more available there. He would keep the door to his room open, and at any time they could come. He formed more personal ties, and even the women got to talk to him. The devotees with Prabhupada in India got to see another side of him. He would sympathize that they had no milk, that the weather was hot, and their stomachs upset. He encouraged them that a year in India was worth 10 years' service in the West. And he told them his strategy. Due to Mughal and British domination, Indians had grown ashamed of their culture. The intelligentsia had come to accept their religion as backward. They should imitate the money of the West, technology, happiness, and success. So Prabhupada thought if the Westerners came to India and showed that they preferred to be Vaishnavas, that they were not happy being rich and hedonistic, and had given it up to serve Lord Krishna, then the Indians might wake up and stop their madness of the blind leading the blind. Another wonder from India was the massive Pandal programs, meetings in open tents where 10 or 20,000 would gather to hear Prabhupada and Hare Krishna kirtan. They would rush forward for a piece of prasad or to touch his holy feet. Nothing like this was in the West, and Prabhupada would strongly preach, denouncing bogus gurus, false saints, ignorant politicians, Mayavadis, anyone opposed to Krishna. This is the land of Krishna, he told them. Why are you rejecting him? Why are you changing the direct meaning of the Gita? Why are you wasting your human form of life? Then the quote, foreign devotees would hold kirtan, and the people marveled to see the dancing white elephants. In Boston, through letters, we heard that Prabhupada was easily able to meet with national leaders and the biggest businessmen, like Mrs. Gandhi and the Birlas. He was respected, considered a leader for his work in the West, for his books, and for his saintliness that no one could deny. In India, Prabhupada was also more involved in managing ISKCON. The devotees were like babes in the woods, dealing with Indian merchants. Prabhupada called his boys damn cheap babus, a name Indians used for a Westerner who pays 5 times the normal price, but is convinced that he bought it damn cheap. Taking control, Prabhupada showed them how to keep accounts, how to deal with the rickshaw wala, murti wala, kartal wala, the dopey, the mystery, the bangi, bank clerk, government clerk, barrister, policeman, rich man. How not to be cheated was one of the most important and difficult lessons he taught. He was expert at it, but he thought it might not be possible for his students to thoroughly learn. And when people in India criticized the Hare Krishna members, calling them sporadic faddists, or saying that the white men had no right to become Brahmins or sannyasis, Prabhupada staked his reputation defending the Western Vaishnavas. All the Shastras supported him, attesting that one from any birth could become a Brahmin, provided he associate with a pure devotee and take up Vaishnava habits. And when his students' conduct was below the standard of a Vaishnava, when they ate too much in public, or used the wrong hand, or insulted a rickshawala, or fought among themselves, and it didn't look so great, still he defended them and said, in any case, they are chanting Hare Krishna. They have long been accustomed to fallen ways, but surely they will improve. As Krishna says, apichet suduracharo. Traveling throughout India. In Amritsar's Vedanta Sammelam, you went with 9 disciples to demonstrate Harinam. When the train stopped at Kurukshetra station, you stood up saying, they say this is a mythical place, but you proved Kurukshetra does exist by arriving there at sunset. At the Sammelam, they gave you a small room. It was very cold at night, and the devotees huddled for Mangal Arati in your candlelit room. Attending at least 6 engagements a day, you showed your prowess, accepting prasadam and speaking at each place without break from morning till night. At Indoor's Gicha Jayanta Mahotsava, you argued with a man who said, "We do not subscribe wholly that Sri Krishna is the sole God. There is a power behind him." "What kind of Gita Jayanti is this?" you asked. "The Gita declares Krishna is the highest truth." At Indore, you also swung your kartals near the face of a man harassing your devotees while they danced and held kirtan on stage. And in Indore, you began your lectures on the life story of Vajramil. In Surat, you showed your devotees a glimpse of the spiritual world. The streets were lined with all the residents, chanting and praising the Hare Krishna movement. A simple kirtan by 20 of your disciples became a major parade, a citywide holiday, as your followers were repeatedly worshipped with aratis and offerings of spiced milk and prasadam. Thousands gathered wherever you went and would not go away until they saw you. And in the mornings, you spoke on the life of Vajramil. At Alabad Kumbh Mela, your devotees were bewildered by the practices of ascetics and naked yogis, by the huge crowds and crude conditions, until you arrived answering their prayers, explaining the Mela's real meaning, a chance to preach. You led your followers on a walking kirtan throughout the camps, bringing joyful bhakti to the seekers of liberation. Thousands came to see the Radha Krishna deities and to accept prasadam at your ISKCON tent. And in the mornings you spoke on the life of Vajramil. A pandal. It is not so easy to hold a pandal. When Prabhupada first introduced the idea to his followers in Bombay, they didn't want to say no, but they wondered, where could they collect so much money? How could they erect such a big tent? Where would they get so much food? And how would they be able to cook it? Prabhupada smiled and said, "If you are going to hunt, go after the rhinoceros." A pandal is a triumph in preaching, the helium balloon hovering over the sky, and in a newspaper, a beautiful picture of the founder Acharya superimposed upon a globe and the words Bhagavad Dharma discourses. A pandal is anxiety, a chance to work hard and surrender to Krishna. A pandal is a marriage of 2 disciples on stage, a boy from Sweden and a girl with a red sari and a nose ring from Australia. A pandal is a particular event, and it is also a symbol of a great endeavor to convince people by cultural presentation, a mass festival. Ratha Yatra or any big preaching is similar, and Prabhupada wanted it Don't be satisfied that you have understood. This knowledge should be distributed. There are many more poems in remembering Srila Prabhupada, but I'll stop there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj. On behalf of all the devotees, I would like to extend my thanks that you took out the time and you read from the powerful words that transport us to Srila Prabhupada's eternal pastimes. And they're so compelling that we get absorbed in the sacrifice Srila Prabhupada made for us. And of course, you raised our spirits with his humorous stories and that particular aspect of Srila Prabhupada that we don't emphasize enough sometimes. You know, how much fun he was to be with and how much he made everybody laugh. And it was really, really sweet. And I'm sure all the devotees appreciated it. So thank you very much, Guru Maharaj. So I'm just going to, if you can stay along a few more minutes, I'm going to request the devotees to just say Hari Bol and to thank you. So dear devotees, please just after you say Hari Bol and thank you, please you can unmute yourself, and then after that you can please mute yourself so other devotees can also get a chance. So we have about more than 300 devotees online, Guru Maharaj. So those of, if you get a chance, please go ahead. I'm going to start with His Grace Devkinandan Prabhu first. Go ahead.
Jai Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances for the Prabhupada.
Jai Devkinandan.
I was very happy to hear that you are going to speak. Madan Gopal Prabhu informed me a week back, and Surangi and me, we are looking forward for this today's date to hear. Although it's almost 9:20 here, late night, but it's very nice to see you and hear you. I was wishing to see you this year again in USA, but COVID-19, we are stuck here in Juhu. We are stuck here in Juhu with 200 devotees, and we are doing 20,000 plate of food distribution every day. So everybody is busy. Thank you, Maharaj, for giving this opportunity to hear, and hopefully we'll hear again from you.
Yes.
Thank you. I request our temple president, Neelmani Prabhu, to also ask a few words of thanks.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Is Maharaj? Okay. So Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. It's our great honor and privilege to have you on our Sangha here and speaking to our regular members and also many other members who have joined just to hear from you. It's such a rare opportunity, and we're very, very grateful that you took the time to come and address us. And also want to thank Madan Gopal Prabhu for arranging this with you. It's really feels a great privilege to have this opportunity. Maharaj, you probably don't remember, but I think probably sometime around 1983 or 84, you came to my house in Edmonton, Alberta. I was not married then, I was by myself, and you came to my house at that time when you were visiting Edmonton. So I still remember from that time. So thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare.
So I'll be opening up to all the other devotees. You can just to say Hari Bol. Now, before that, I'm just going to announce that we have on this channel every evening something going on 7 nights a week. We have Jayadvaita Swami on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays at 8 p.m. We have Her Grace Malati Mataji coming up on Tuesday evening, Ravindra Sarup Prabhu on Thursday evening, and tonight Gauranga Prabhu, tomorrow Radhika Raman Prabhu. So we have lots of programs going on. So please make a note of this channel. And thank you again, Guru Maharaj, for your kindly making the time for us and uplifting our spirits in this difficult situations. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we can unmute yourself and just say Hari Bol, and then please mute yourself after. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Dandavat pranam at your lotus feet.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much. Love
Thank
you,
you,
Srila
Maharaj. Thank
Prabhupada
you.
Limamrita.
Thank you for this
Hare
much.
Bol Maharaj, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much.
Glory to Guru Maharaj.
Krishna Maharaj. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Jai Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Ya,
algo que voy a poneros ahí.
Satsvarupa
Hare Krishna Dandavat.
Di algo.
Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much. Love your books. Dandavats.
I love your books and of them I really like Gopal Lamata. Dandavats.
Hare Krishna. Thanks very much, Hari.
Hare Krishna Maharaj from Spain. Suchandra and Uttara.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Gopi Manjari. Love you. Thank you for talking.
Well, thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you.
Maharaj, can you join?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much.
I will get so I, the people can come and finish it up.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for all your seva through the years, all your service to Prabhupada and devotees. Haribol.
Beacon Street.
The delivery charge, I already paid them $89.
Beacon Street.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you.
Auspicious place. So many memories of Beacon Street.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
When the printing press went from Beacon Street down to Tiffany.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you so much.
And a blue van with no windows, moving all the printing press, Boston to Brooklyn.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Very much.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you very much.
Hotra and Drishadumna were in the basement.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for the Nectarian Leelamrita, Japa Reform notebooks, and so many other books which are giving us a darshan and association of Srila Prabhupada. We weren't born at that time, but we could feel that we were with Srila Prabhupada. Humble obeisances to you. Thank you so much.
Jai. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Nice to see you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, we're from Gita Nagari. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Let us see you more often. Hare Krishna.
¿Podéis decir algo? Pita, di algo.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. Nuestras reverencias.
Jai Guru Maharaj.
Evil.
Hare Krishna Bhagavad Prana.
Srivikram Prabhu ki jai.
Krishna Maharaj.
Evil.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Jai Guru Maharaj.
Maharaj.
Thank you for a wonderful and successful broadcast.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Come up on the screen then.
Thank you. Thank you for
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Pero tienes que dile quién eres y de dónde. A ver.
En español.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Lots of love from Portugal, Maharaj.
Our obeisances from Spain. Uttara Hare Krishna and Chitra Devi, our daughter, also. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, wonderful.
Dipingi,
Thank you so much,
dipingi.
Jai
Guru
Hare
Maharaj,
Krishna.
thank you very much. Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Parla, Lila. Salutalo. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Ilananda Das from ISKCON Perugia. We are doing the new Ratha Yatra, the new chariot for Ratha, the new Ratha for Ratha Yatra chariot.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
¿Está guardando?
Are you see?
Yes, I am
Hare
seeing.
Krishna. Jai. Hare Krishna.
This is Bhakti Christiana.
Haribol. Hare Krishna. Jai Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
The accent, no, to say something.
Eccoci, ci siamo.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
ISKCON Perugia
Jai Guru
is
Maharaj.
your mercy. We are doing the new Ratha.
Ratha Yatra ki jai.
Ratha Yatra ki jai.
Hey, Gail, what is going on? Okay.